What if the oldest stories ever written still hold secrets we don't fully understand? Long before the pyramids of Egypt, before Greece, before Rome, ancient Mesopotamia told tales of powerful beings called the Anunnaki. Were they simply gods of myth? Ancient rulers of heaven and earth? Or has modern culture transformed them into one of history's greatest mysteries? Tonight, we journey back to the dawn of civilization. Thank you very much for your support. Before we dive into the main story, please kindly follow our page, like, comment and share. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell notification button for more interesting video like this. The land between the rivers. Our story begins in Mesopotamia. The name means the land between rivers. Located between the Tigris and Euphrates, this region saw the rise of some of humanity's earliest cities. Here, civilizations such as Sumer, Akkad, Babylon, and Assyria flourished. These societies developed writing, law codes, astronomy, and complex religion. Among their most fascinating beliefs were stories of divine beings known as the Anunnaki. The name itself is often translated as offspring of Anu, the sky god. But who were they? The gods of Sumer. In ancient Sumerian belief, the cosmos was ruled by powerful deities. At the top stood Anu, lord of the heavens. Below him were other gods who governed aspects of nature and society. Among them, Enlil, associated with wind and authority. Enki, linked to wisdom and water. Ninhursag, often connected to fertility and creation. The Anunnaki were not one god but a group of deities appearing in various myths. Their roles changed across centuries and cultures. Ancient religion was not static. It evolved. Just as societies changed, so did their stories. The first written myths. Mesopotamia gave the world one of its greatest inventions. Writing. Using cuneiform script pressed into clay tablets, scribes recorded myths that survive to this day. Some of humanity's oldest stories come from these tablets. The flood myths. Creation narratives. Tales of kings and gods. Without these records, the Anunnaki might have been lost to history forever. Yet thousands of tablets remain undeciphered or fragmented. What secrets still lie buried beneath the sands of Iraq? The Epic of Gilgamesh. Among Mesopotamia's greatest stories is the Epic of Gilgamesh, often called the world's oldest surviving epic poem. The story explores kingship, friendship, mortality, and the search for eternal life. It also contains a great flood narrative, one that predates many later traditions. The gods play central roles. They shape human destiny, reward some, punish others. The myths reveal how ancient people understood the world, not through science, but through stories. The modern mystery. Then, in the 20th century, something changed. New interpretations of the Anunnaki emerged. Some writers suggested that the Anunnaki were not mythological beings, but visitors from another world. According to these theories, they came from a distant planet and influenced humanity's origins. These ideas became wildly popular in books, documentaries, and popular culture. Yet mainstream scholars strongly disagree. Assyriologists and archaeologists point out that Mesopotamian texts describe the Anunnaki as deities within a mythological system, not extraterrestrials. The debate continues. But evidence matters. And extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Here's a surprising fact. Many modern ideas about the Anunnaki do not come directly from ancient tablets. They come from modern reinterpretations. The ancient texts themselves are often more complex and more fascinating than popular myths suggest. This is where the controversy begins. Should ancient myths be read symbolically, literally, or somewhere in between? Throughout history, people have interpreted sacred stories in many ways. The Anunnaki are no exception. The question isn't only what ancient people believed, but why these stories still captivate us today. Beneath deserts and ruins, thousands of clay tablets remain untranslated. Perhaps among them lies a forgotten story, a lost king, a vanished city, or a clue that changes everything we think we know about the ancient world. Do you believe myths preserve echoes of real events, or are they purely symbolic stories? The rebellion of the gods. Enlil, Enki, and the fate of humanity. The Anunnaki, gods of Mesopotamia, or history's greatest mystery. The rebellion of the gods, creation myths, and humanity's fate. What if humanity's oldest stories weren't just myths, but windows into how ancient people understood power, chaos, and creation? Among the most fascinating tales ever written are stories of divine rebellion. Gods who argued, gods who fought, and gods who shaped the destiny of humankind. But what did these ancient stories truly mean? Episode 2. The Rebellion of the Gods' Divine Hierarchy. In Mesopotamian mythology, the universe was governed by powerful beings. At the top stood Anu, Lord of the Heavens. Below him was Enlil, often associated with authority, storms, and kingship. Then came Enki, known for wisdom, water, and cleverness. These gods did not always agree. Ancient myths describe a world where divine powers debated the fate of both gods and humans. The Igigi revolt. One of the most intriguing Mesopotamian stories concerns another group of deities, the Igigi. According to later Babylonian traditions, the Igigi performed labor on behalf of the higher gods. But after long periods of work, they rebelled. They refused their burdens. The rebellion threatened cosmic order itself. What happened next would become one of the ancient world's most famous creation stories. The creation of humanity. In the Babylonian work known as the Atrahasis epic, humanity is created to help maintain order and labor. To ancient Mesopotamians, this story explained humanity's place in the cosmos. Modern readers sometimes interpret these tales literally. Historians generally view them as mythology, stories that reflected how ancient societies understood work, kingship, and the relationship between humans and the divine. Yet the questions remain timeless. Why are humans here? What is our purpose? Ancient myths attempted to answer questions that still challenge us today. The hidden fact. Here's something many people don't realize. The Mesopotamian creation stories existed thousands of years before many later traditions and influenced religious ideas across the ancient Near East. The ancient world was deeply interconnected. Stories traveled, and myths evolved. Episode 3. Enlil and Enkitwo Gods, Two Visions. If Mesopotamian mythology had rivals, few were more fascinating than Enlil and Enki. Enlil often represented order, authority, and divine decree. Enki represented wisdom, creativity, and problem-solving. In several myths, they appear to hold different views regarding humanity. This tension created some of the most compelling stories in ancient literature. The Great Flood. One famous Mesopotamian tale tells of a catastrophic flood. A divine decision threatens humanity, but a wise figure receives warning and survives. The parallels to later flood narratives have fascinated historians for centuries. Did these stories influence later traditions? Many scholars believe cultural exchange across the ancient Near East likely played an important role. The movement of stories may be one of humanity's oldest forms of connection. The controversy. The controversy lies not in whether these myths existed. They clearly did. The debate concerns how they should be interpreted. Were they symbolic? Historical memories transformed into legend? Or religious stories expressing timeless truths? Different cultures and scholars answer differently. Episode 4. The Modern Anunnaki Mysterized Alien Theory. In the 20th century, some popular writers proposed that the Anunnaki were extraterrestrials. These claims captured public imagination. Books sold millions of copies. Television programs spread the ideas worldwide. But mainstream Assyriologists point out an important fact. Ancient Mesopotamian texts describe the Anunnaki as gods within a mythological framework. There is no archaeological evidence confirming extraterrestrial interpretations. The mystery continues to fascinate people because it blends ancient myth with modern imagination. Why do Anunnaki stories remain so popular? Perhaps because they touch on universal questions. Where did we come from? Who are we? And are we alone? Humanity has always searched for answers. Ancient myths and modern speculation are both part of that search. Episode 5. The Lost World of Mesopotamia. Beneath the deserts of Iraq lie ancient cities. Nineveh. Thousands of tablets remain untranslated. Every discovery offers new clues. What forgotten stories still wait underground? What myths have yet to be rediscovered? The past is not finished speaking. We are still listening. Imagine if tomorrow archaeologists uncovered a library larger than any previously discovered. Would it rewrite history? Would it reveal forgotten kings? Lost myths? Or entirely new stories about the Anunnaki? Until then, one mystery remains. Why do tales written over 4,000 years ago still capture the imagination of millions? Do you believe ancient myths preserve memories of real events, or are they symbolic stories meant to explain humanity's place in the universe? Subscribe for the next chapter. Lost tablets, hidden cities, and the future of Mesopotamian discovery. Thank you for watching. For more videos like this, please follow our page, like, comment and share. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting historic fact videos.